News Central now at this hour begins with security matters. The FCT Police Command has paraded some suspects involved in the alleged killing of 2 police officers during a clash with the members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria in Abuja on Sunday, the 25th of August. They were arrested when the parade got violent on Sunday, resulting in the death of 2 police officers. 3 of them were released after being profiled.
We took action because we can't enjoy it. If you check here, you can see what we recovered from them. Some of the cutlasses you see here are blood-stained, which they use in killing the policemen. They shot gun at the policemen. They use petrol bomb. They use cutlasses. If you see their dead body and how they were massacred, you will be shocked. We have 94 of them here. 94. They are here complete. They are proscribed. They don't have right of assembly, and they don't have right of even protest. So, because they have been proscribed, we have asked them that for the fact they have killed the policemen that did not attack them, their leaders are here, is a matter very soon we will take up on them in the courts.
A recent report by SBM Intelligence has brought to light the grim reality of Nigeria's ongoing security crisis. The report, which details the situation in 2024, reveals that 3,277 people were kidnapped in 135 mass abductions incidents across the country, resulting in the loss of 125 lives. The report also highlights the northwest and north central regions as the most severely affected, with a combined total of 2,719 kidnappings. The violence is not spared religious figures either, with a Catholic priest killed and 20 others abducted. Now, this analysis provides a stark visualization of Nigeria's persistent struggle with violence and insecurity, underscoring the urgent need for effective solutions to this ongoing crisis. And still on security, the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council has called on the federal government to urgently address the rising wave of killings, kidnappings and banditry across the country. In a statement issued by the council, led by the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Daniel Okoh, and the Sultan of Sokoto Sa'ad Abubakar, who also serves as President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, the religious leaders condemned the recent surge in violence. They highlighted recent incidents, including the killing of 13 farmers in Shiroro local government area of Niger State, the abduction of 150 people in Gobir district of Sokoto State, and the brutal murder of the district head of Gatawa in Sokoto State. The Christian and Islamic leaders urged the government and security agencies to intensify their efforts to eliminate these threats, ensuring that citizens can live without fear and insecurity. Now, to discuss this, we're joined by security expert Patrick Agbambo. He joins me live. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today. When we look at the situation when it comes to Nigerian insecurity, it's pretty much dire. So in your opinion, how effective are the current security measures in addressing the surge in violence across the country?
Yeah, thank you. The situation, just like you said, is dire, and every well-meaning Nigerian should be worried and disturbed that we still have this crisis situation on our hands, and it's very, very troubling. And I tell you that the security forces have tried, or they are trying what they should do. But unfortunately, this challenge seems to be a bit more difficult because there are some factors that still not playing together to assist the fight against this insecurity across the Federation. though the report you mentioned particularly talked about North Central and Northwest, but I tell you, across the country, South, and Southeast, there are still adoptions and killings going on even as we speak. So it's something that every woman Nigerian should be worried about and call for it to be resolved as quickly as possible.
And I have to ask about the strategies then. What strategies can be employed to intensify efforts to eliminate these threats as, as urged by the Interreligious Council of Nigeria?
Yeah, you see, over the years, I have been one of those who call that the civil populace, they have a great role to play in resolving this. Such a revered group, they have a greater role because these people that are causing this mayhem across this federation, across the country, belong to one of those religious group or the other. And I expect that they have a greater role to be able to talk to their members to stop the wanton killing and adoption of innocent Nigerians. I think that one of the strategies that has not really been bought into in all this fight is getting the public to be part of this fight against these criminals. What I mean is by providing timely and actionable information. You see, these criminals, they don't drop from the air. They don't drop from the air to commit whatever havoc they want to commit. They move, they interact with people. People interact with them. People provide them the needs, whatever they need. People supply them goods, foods, and all that. So if you know that these people are somewhere because you think that they may not come after you and you did not provide that information and you think again because you're doing business with them and you are shielded from their attack, then you are not doing justice to your own conscience, and your God will ask you for it and will ask you for it. So that is one strategy that I expect the government to work to see how to maybe convince or buy the public to buy into this fight against insecurity, because by and large, it's the public that will suffer it. Most of us are very nonchalant about the security happenings around us, and we feel that it's the security forces' responsibility. No, they cannot. How many are there? They can't be everywhere. And most of these areas where these things happen, you find out that technology, it's non-existent. So there's no way to get to know what is happening until after it has been committed. And from the time this thing has been committed to the time the security forces are responding, these criminals have already gone to their hiding places, and it's the next time they plan again and they will come out. So the public have a great role to play in resolving it. Again, there have been some situations where information are provided. The terrain of some of where these things are happening. I'll give you an instance. In some of these communities where this mass adoption are taking place, assessing those areas are very, very difficult. And the security forces may not easily get there, because in the first instance, they may not have a base or a location close to that area. So when they get information, before they get there, the havoc have been done. And so it depends on how the people of that area, because before these criminals come to strike into a community, they will first of all come there, do their surveillance, look at the escape routes and what they need to do, so that they will escape peacefully without being arrested.
Patrick.
Yes.
I must ask about, the contributing factors that we're seeing to these numbers of, that's driving this insecurity. What do you think is the cause of the numbers that is causing this perpetrators of the crime of insecurity? Do you think it's poverty, unemployment, social inequality? What could be the cause, and why such religious attacks?
I don't think there's nothing religious about all these attacks. It's not religious in any form. It's all criminality because most of these victims, they cut across different religion. They are not one side of the religion or one belong to one side. So it's not, I don't think it has to do with religion. And again, a lot of people have talked about poverty and hunger. I disagree with that because there are countries where they have lesser availability of source of livelihood, but they don't go into this criminality. I believe that the major cause of this is because there are no consequences for criminality in Nigeria. You know, those who commit this crime seems to get away with it, and it encourages the other people to also commit these crimes. You see, when somebody knows that if I commit a crime, even if I'm hungry, and I know that if I go take somebody's property, food to eat, and I'll be caught, I will not try it. But if I know that I will not be, even if I'm caught, nothing will happen to me, then of course I will go and do it. Consequences, lack of consequences on criminals is what is helping to accentuate and increase the criminality we're experiencing today. Most people, if you go to some of our detention center, correctional centers, they call it, and police stations where they are detained, you will not see some of these hardened criminals who are the actual perpetrators. You know, so they have a way of escaping justice, and they will go and replan and come out again and commit another crime. What will help is that anybody who is caught committing any of this crime must pay for it. And that is the factor that it's not the issue about lack
Poverty
of education
or unemployment or inequality. But I mean, solutions, let's prefer solutions. We see that the inter-religious, cooperation of the country and of itself, they're having a dialogue, they're reaching out to the government. But in addressing the long-term issue that is insecurity in Nigeria and the security challenges, what other CSOs do you think should come? Is it more dialogue with the government and CSOs like this that we're seeing, or is it more public involvement? Is it more investment in the security forces? What will bring a lasting solution to the challenges of insecurity in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you. These factors you have mentioned will help, but greater is that this government must make greater effort to make sure that they provide social amenities for the people. Most of these places where these things are happening, they do not have government presence. And so they believe that these criminals that are coming to even harass them, even abuse them, are even their savior. So government must invest massively in engaging these communities, particularly these rural and suburban communities. These are where the places that are porous to this kind of attacks. Now, you go to the issue of engagement with the public. Government must build confidence in the people. Right. As we speak now, majority of Nigerians do not have confidence in the government for one reason or the other. And this has translated to lack of confidence in the capability and capacity of the security forces. But I tell you that the security forces are ready to do what is the needful, but the people still do not believe them. So there's need to build confidence so that they can work in synergy and be able to resolve this quicker.
All right.
Again, equipping these people is important, but if they don't get information, nothing can be done.
All right. Well, Patrick, many thanks for doing this. Also, we appreciate you for coming on. Patrick is a security expert, and he just joined us to talk more about insecurity in Nigeria. Patrick, many thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Now, sorrow, tears, and anguish as the Nigerian Navy laid to rest Lieutenant Commander Gideon Gaza, who lost his life while rescuing 59 stranded persons from a merchant vessel in Rivers State. The late naval officer, who leaves behind a wife and 3 sons, was described as a fine officer who always put others before himself, which ultimately led to his death. Amadin Uyi reports.
The final salute to a lost comrade. Tears, pain, and anguish rent the air. An apt description of the situation at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja. As officers of the Nigerian Navy gather to bury one of their finest, the heroic Lieutenant Commander Gideon Gaza, who recently paid the supreme price in the line of duty while rescuing many from a stranded merchant vessel on June the 30th.
Gwaska died in the service, not only to the Nigerian Navy, but in the service to humanity. Because the assignment which he was given that day was to go and rescue a merchant vessel that was in distress and was about to sink. I received that information of distress call from the company that a vessel is about sinking with 59 crew members on board.
In a sorrowful tribute, his wife tearfully gave her last words.
You loved your job so well, and I'm glad you died as a hero. I'll forever be proud of you. Your children will be proud of you. You were a true soldier. We love and cherish every moment spent together. I will love your children even more.
She commended his gallantry, while others eulogized his sacrificial action, which saved the lives of many.
To a brave soldier that I was privileged to have as my husband, fair winds and sailing seas. I love you. Even in death, I still love you.
On that fateful day, compelled by love, compelled by loyalty, dedication, integrity, and sacrifice, he took the risks. He laid down his life so that others will live.
I can only say that the officer was a born soldier. He was born great, as has been attested to by even his sister. He was a courageous officer, a man of integrity, a man of impeccable character, and above all, a professional to the core.
The Chief of Naval Staff assured the family that the Navy will stand in support of them, ensuring that they are adequately sheltered and the education of his children catered for. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
It's time for a short break. When News Central now returns, Peter Obi slams government over detained whistleblower PIDOM, demands accountability. Join us again. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election has condemned the repeated harassment of journalists in Nigeria by authorities, warning that the country risks descending into a banana republic where journalists are silenced or disappear for simply doing their jobs. Reacting to the recent disappearance of whistleblower PIDOM Nigeria, Obi expressed concern over the alarming trend of government agents suppressing information unrelated to national security or interest. He emphasized the urgent need for the Freedom of Information Bill to safeguard press freedom. Obi further stated that the disappearance and detention of the whistleblower raised serious concerns and called on Nigerian authorities to be held accountable for his whereabouts and any alleged wrongdoing. And now to discuss this, we're joined by public affairs analyst Dotun Ojon. Dotun, thank you so much for coming on. This caution by the former presidential candidate Peter Obi, what implications do you think this caution about Nigeria's democratic journey have for the country's political landscape?
Okay, the essence of democracy is to have people express themselves as constantly as possible within the limit of what the law permits. You see, in the theory of communication, we talk about the libertarian theory of the press that gives the press the freedom to actually report whatever it is that they consider right. But just after the libertarian theory is the social responsibility theory, which put responsibility on the media to only report things that they know are right and can actually aid the development of the community. So we are in democracy, and we expect that the government of the day will give the media an opportunity to do their responsibility. And of course, we also expect the media will operate within the limit of what the law allows. So when you look at it from both angles, you discover that no government can actually operate democratically by muzzling the press, and press cannot actually operate rightly without observing the law. So we are in a community that the press is actually supporting the government, and the government by its own must also try as much as possible to respect the press. So if by any chance we have a situation where the government is seen to have continued to muzzle the press, then I doubt whether we can cause.
We seem to have lost his audio there. We'll try to make connection with him. That is Dotun Ojo. He's a public affairs analyst and was just talking to us about press freedom. Dotun, I understand you're back now. We lost you there for a second. But I mean, you're talking about press freedom, democracy, you know, how the intersectionality between the two. But I also, just for the benefit of our viewers, you know, for at home, how does the arrest of PIDOM's, you know, Nigeria impact press freedom and whistleblowing in the country? I mean, is whistleblowing a crime to begin with?
No, whistleblowing in itself is not a crime. But when the government, and I have to quickly point out at this point in time, that at every point in time, when you get to any land, what is a crime is not defined by the people. It's usually defined by the government. So it puts pressure on everybody to be very, very careful. So whistleblowing in itself is not a crime, but when government weave a crime around leaking of sensitive governmental document and reporting issues that have to do with security, then it's an issue. What I'm saying in essence is that, and I want this to be very, very clear, if we want to operate a democracy, we must be clear about the kind of freedom we give to the press, because the press in every community takes the form of that society. What I mean is that if you are in a democratic society, then your press really must be free. And we may be speaking to what Peter Obi is saying today, but beyond what Peter Obi is even saying is an important issue of the way the international community will perceive us if we come across as a community or a country that is actually Muslim people that have divergent views from our own view. You remember during the time of protest, it's the same way the government came across to people as if they do not want anybody in the community to criticize them in any way. And I think that's what they are gradually extending to the press. But again, we must sound a note of warning that the essence of press freedom is to serve the community and not to serve some individuals who are hiding under. Because for me now, before anybody can actually be called a journalist, he must be identified. So, and I do not want a situation where we continue to fight for faceless people. We must be able to look at it from both the right and the left angle. Who is this person that is involved? What is the crime? The government will be able to explain. Because we've seen situation, I think it happened in Egypt, China, and some other places, where foreigners actually disguise themselves to cause some kind of crisis within the country.
Dotun, but this person, but PIDOM Nigeria has been, but although we don't have his identity in terms of photograph, but the truth of the matter is he's Nigerian. There's no foreigner who's fronting to be PIDOM. He is Nigerian. He was in Lagos, I think, or Abuja, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was in Nigeria when he was taken or arrested and now in the custody of the security agencies. And that's what we know. Now, when you look at all of the things that he's been held for, one of them is whistleblowing, but particularly leaking government secrets. That's what they say those are the charges are. And so if we're sticking to that, what then does that mean for press freedom? Because whistleblowing in and of itself is calling to attention issues that affect, whether it's transparency and accountability. That's what it is. So how then if you put press into this, if you say he's not a journalist, he's just a whistleblower, whistleblowers do come to the press. They come to the press with information that matters when it comes to governance and transparency and accountability. Then how then do we struck and draw the line to safeguard a press freedom then?
Okay, I think you're not getting the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that I said it, that government must not come across as an entity that is trying to muzzle the press, and we have to be very, very clear on that. Unfortunately, what constitutes national security can actually only be defined by the government. So that has given the government an upper hand in terms of defining what can be reported and what cannot be reported. Because there's been this argument back and forth about the issue of human rights and national security. And we have weighed it often, and we have come to the conclusion, and when I say we, I mean opinion holders and leaders in the community, that most often that the issue of national security may actually come first when you're talking about protecting your government, protecting your people in the 21st century. But all of that being said, it is the responsibility of government to give its community an opportunity to criticize it at every point in time. So I do not want to believe, or I do not want to accept the fact that the government is after PIDOM today because it's speaking against its policies or revealing some sensitive secret. I just want a level playground for all journalists to be able to practice. But within that context too, we must remind ourselves that there are laws in the land that guide the operation. There are ethical standards that guide the operation of media practitioners, and these laws and ethical practices must be respected.
Well, I mean, it's no secret that Nigerian government, whether democratic or military, have struggled with dissent and the freedom of expression and even press freedom in and of itself. But Dr. many thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate you for coming on.
It's a pleasure.
Dr. Ojun is a public affairs analyst. We move away from that now. 33 female inmates have been empowered and supported through a comprehensive livelihood and skill acquisition program in Borno State, Nigeria's northeast region. An initiative of the Nigerian Army's Joint Investigation Center in partnership with the Alami Foundation for Peace and Development was aimed at preparing these women for reintegration into society to be engaged in meaningful ventures to support themselves and their families. News Central's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
A day for these detainees under the custody of the Nigerian government, provided with training in essential skills such as cosmetology, liquid soap making, bar soap making, air freshener production, among others. This effort is said to help towards rehabilitating detainees and equipping them with practical skills for a productive future. The benefiting detainees appreciated the support with songs of praises.
The aim is to make them productive in anticipation of their reintegration in the society. By that, we are reducing crime because they will have economic means of livelihood. Two, whatever is produced here is being used here, like the soap and other consumables are just they are taught how to. Also, it also serves as a means of earning while they are behind the bars, because these things are not going to be used in here only. They are going to be taken to the marketplace, and the proceeds of this goes back to them by way of saving. And whenever they are to be discharged from here, they are going to go with all the proceeds of what they have produced with their hand.
The stakeholders emphasize the importance of empowering women with skills to make a positive impact in their lives and society.
We appreciate the military leadership for approving this opportunity to us, and then the commandant here for opening up the gates so that we come and then impart this knowledge to these women, which we believe will be a life-changing.
From my interaction with the female inmates, I realized that they are so happy and so grateful to both Al-Amin Foundation and the Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, under which the Joint Investigation Center is domiciled, that we've given them this opportunity for them to be able to learn hand skill, that when they leave here, they'll become more productive and useful to themselves. So it's a laudable development, and the workshop is well taken. We appreciate Al-Amin Foundation for this, and we look forward to more collaboration.
This initiative not only equips the graduates with practical skills, but also enhances their prospects for reintegration into the community, reflecting a proactive approach to rehabilitation and empowerment. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umoru Kirawa.
Now, it is said that the young ones are the backbones of today and the hope of tomorrow. Hence, it is important to prioritize their growth and well-being. And one way of ensuring they develop rightly and adequately is through mentoring. And so News Central's Judith has a report on this. Take a look.
Learning from other people's experiences and mistakes indeed quickens the learning process for others. Sometimes, navigating the complexities of life and making informed decisions about education, career paths, and personal goals can be difficult. That is where mentors come in.
When people mentor you, they will tell you the ups and downs, the nitty-gritty, the things that you are supposed to expect. And when those things come, how you are supposed to deal with them. And of course, when you say somebody is my mentor, it means that you have respect for that person. Somebody who has achieved something, somebody who can correct you, somebody you know that, yes, he has really attained this level in life. Therefore, if I follow him, he should be able to put me through in life.
The impact and benefit of mentors on young people's development, both personally and professionally, is significant. However, some young Nigerians are opting for shadow mentors who they don't necessarily have to have a physical connection with, as their online presence is as impactful.
I think it's important, but in the same sense, we already have a lot of people that are doing these things. So, you know, when you think mentorship, you think one-on-one interactions, but then you can just watch people on social media and see how they do their things. You can watch their videos on social media. You don't have to have a personal relationship with them before you can get tips on how to be better.
Growing up for me, I had mentorship from not just one person, not just even my immediate family. I had from people around me, my friends, parents, brothers, older siblings and all. So I had people who were there to actually put me through and give me a guideline on what and what not to do.
Mentorship plays a crucial role in shaping young people's lives in several ways. But firstly, where and how does it begin?
Mentorship can start anywhere, so there's no really like here or there. But the very first place a child gets some form of support or advice usually starts from the home front, because the children meet, mom and dad and uncle or whatever relative is there to offer advice or guidance. The most important thing is this mentor, does the person have the experience, the character, the attribute, the qualification to offer this advice or training to this young person?
The power of mentorship cannot be overstated. By providing guidance, support, and inspiration, mentors can help young people reach their full potential. In Lagos for News Central, Chidinma Ona.
Gabon is set to mark 1 year since the August 30th, 2023 bloodless military coup that ended 55 years of Bongo family rule. President Ali Bongo Ondimba, who had led the oil-rich nation since 2009, was overthrown by military leaders just moments after being declared the winner of a contested presidential election. The new government, headed by General Brice Oligui Nguema, has accused the Bongo family of widespread corruption, election rigging, and manipulating President Bongo following his 2018 stroke. As the anniversary approaches, residents of the capital, Libreville, have expressed mixed feelings about the end of the Bongo era and the current leadership under General Nguema.
Le 30 août, c'est le jour de la libération du Gabon. Il me semble que jusqu'à un passé récent, nous ne sentions pas un tel engouement, une telle liberté dans tous les sens, d'expression, de choix, de vie.
Depuis le 30 août, je me sens comme libre et je suis très en joie parce que j'ai senti comme une libération et vraiment je pense que je ne suis pas le seul et chacun d'entre nous, nous sommes vraiment très heureux de ce que les choses ont changé jusqu'à aujourd'hui.
C'est la libération, le 30 août c'est l'appropriation du Gabon aux Gabonais. Et donc, bien sûr, je vais fêter. Je vais même encore reporter mon maillot du Gabon parce que on va fêter. Voilà. Il vient à peine de venir au pouvoir. Donc, step by step. Il n'a même pas encore fait 1 an. Donc, là, le 30, ça va faire 1 an. Nous voyons, bien sûr, toutes les actes qu'il pose. Donc, cela signifie que on voit un peu la différence, d'accord, mais comme on dit, un peu, ça va arriver.
Nous avons tous soif de justice, vu que ce coup de libération, pour nous, c'est une justice, en quelque sorte. Et voilà. Et bon, d'après moi, ce sont des délinquants, vu qu'ils avaient, ceux qui avaient au pouvoir avant, ils ont mal, je peux dire, ils ont mal utilisé leur position.
A bus traveling from Zimbabwe to Johannesburg lost control and overturned in South Africa's northeastern Limpopo province, killing 10 people and injuring 35 others. The local transport ministry confirmed in a statement on Wednesday that the victims included 5 men and 5 women, all reportedly foreign nationals. The accident occurred just before midnight on Tuesday when the bus traveling at high speed drove over a roundabout, lost control and overturned. Despite having one of the most developed road networks in Africa, South Africa struggles with one of the continent's worst road safety records, largely due to reckless driving and unroadworthy vehicles. Russian authorities have detained 3 individuals for allegedly plotting a terrorist attack on a church in Ingushatia, a small Muslim majority republic in the Caucasus region. Now, the regional branch of the investigative committee in Ingushatia said the 3 Russian nationals were planning on attack in the city of Suzar. Now, the suspects are believed to be members of the Islamic State group, which has repeatedly vowed to target Russia for its support of Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad. Now, authorities have opened a criminal case against the 3 suspects for participating in the activities of a terrorist organization and for conspiracy to commit a terrorist act.
Граждане России, приверженцы запрещенной на территории России международной террористической организации, вынашивали намерения по совершению диверсионно-террористических акций на территории региона. В частности, ими готовилось нападение на церковь Покрова Пресвятой Богородицы в городе.
Torrential rains in India has caused heavy flooding that killed at least 15 people since Monday. Rivers across coastal western state of Gujarat have broken their banks and more than 23,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. Chief Minister, and that's Bhupadan Patel, said in a social media post that fishing crews had been told not to venture into rough seas. Monsoon rains cause widespread destruction every year, but experts say climate change is shifting weather patterns and increasing the number of extreme weather events. The northeastern state of Tripura was battered by floods and landslides last week, with more than 20 people killed. Now to business. Livestock Feed, a manufacturer of animal feed, has reported its earnings per share reaching their highest level in at least 13 years during the first half of the year. Although it's classified as a penny stock, it stands out as a top performer among recent penny stocks. Following the release of their earnings results, the company has experienced a significant rally in its stock price since early July. Onome Ohuoriole, the lead analyst at Money Africa, shared insights as a guest on Market Pulse regarding the potential for continued strong performance, taking into account the recently announced earnings. He also discussed other factors that could drive buying interest and provided perspective on how investors should approach penny stocks like this in the equities market. Take a look.
It's been an interest in penny stocks, and the usual wave you'd see is you have the big cap stocks rally strongly. After that, you see people tend to pursue penny stocks. So it's not unexpected. Zeroing down to the company, I think the company has also had pretty decent performance so far this year. Performance last year was quite poor, but numbers we're seeing higher revenue, which is quite good. And I think all things being equal, if they continue on the trajectory they are, maybe under 3-4 quarters.
And finally, in sports, Vice President of the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation, Tayo Adesoji, has said that the country is trying to groom young table tennis talents for the future and ahead of the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Adesoji made this known at the inaugural edition of the Atada Musa National Invitational Cadet Championships organized in conjunction with the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation to facilitate the growth of table tennis among under-15 cadet players. Also speaking about Nigeria's poor participation at the Olympics and the growth of the sport was 1976 African table tennis champion Kasali Lasisi, insisting on adequate coaching for the table tennis team.
For now, I think it's a little bit encouraging. But you see, I think if we are having this type of competition oftenly, I think maybe we can even regain the standard of what we are having before.
Ishrik Town have secured London winger, and that's Chiedozie Egbane, for €8 million, signing him to a 4-year deal. The Ireland international becomes the club's 10th summer signing since their Premier League return. Now, this move comes as a response to winger Wes Burns' hamstring injury sustained in their 2-0 defeat to Liverpool. Ogbene, who previously played for Cork and Limerick, as well as Brentford, joined Linton from Rotherham last year on a free transfer and made a notable impact in the Premier League despite Linton's relegation. He netted 35 goals, or rather, I take that back, he netted 5 goals in 39 matches and was the second fastest player last season, reaching 36.93 km/h against Fulham. Now, the club set to face AFC Wimbledon in the Carabao Cup, also negotiating with Chelsea over striker Armando Borja ahead of the transfer deadline. I almost reached APC for AFC there. But that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Nigeria's Inter-Religious Council demands end to killings. Suspects paraded over alleged killing of 2 officers in Abuja. Finally, Lipopo bus crash claims 10 lives, leaves 35 injured. Now remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Judith, Atibi.